So today on our quick take session for Content Matrix, we are going to go ahead and discuss the MySites migrations. So migrating MySites, we're going to just look at potential problems may arise when we want to do our migrations of MySites across SharePoint environments. So we're going to look at creating the jobs to actually do the full migration of the MySites, permissions requirements, which is quite an important aspect of the migration, and some common issues that pop up. And mostly those issues do revolve around migrating the user profile data. So we'll just on that note, we'll jump into my environment here, and what I'll do is we're going to go over migrating typical MySite migration going from 2007 to 2013. So in my 2007 farm, we can see I have we have our web application, which is hosting the MySites, and I have these MySites that I want to move over to my 2013 farm. So in order to migrate those, which includes the user profile data, we actually have the option at the farm level. So you do want to make a connection to your SharePoint environment at either the farm or the web app level. We cannot do a MySite migration from a site collection connection. So by just right-clicking our source farm connection, I can choose the option to copy MySites, and simply right-clicking on my site collection clicking my farm connection to the target 2013 environment, I click Paste MySites and use admin mode. So what we get is a standard copy configuration dialog with one additional section, which is the MySite options. So what we'll do is this will actually pull out all of the available MySites from the source, and by default it will show you in the right-hand side the MySites that it has found, and if you just simply go and run that, it will migrate all of what you see on the right-hand side. You can optionally exclude these from the migration and then only select individual MySites that you may want to copy. Additionally, you want to set the target web application, and that will be the web application where you have already set up the web app to host the MySites, and typically you would only have a certain managed path, which would be the wildcard managed path to point to the individual site collection. So here we have our MySite on the MySite web application, and we are pointing to the personal managed path, which is similar to our 2007 setup. So that's the only additional option set. Other than that, we have the same options that you would see in any other site collection migration. So what I have, I've already run a few of them, and I just wanted to actually show you some of the things that may come up during the migration. The first and one of the biggest ones when migrating from 2007 to 2013 is the fact that 2013 uses the claims authentication. So if you just do a straight migration where the accounts are set up in 2007 under NTLM and going to claims, you may come across a warning saying that the issue encountered in copying the user profile. So as you can see, the problem adding this user because it could not find the actual user profile property on the target because it is trying to look it up under the NTLM. So what we really want to do is when we do the configuration, we want to make sure that under our global mappings that we are actually mapping our NTLM account to the claims account that we would find on our 2013 farm. So here I've just set up a simple mapping that will take just my account and it will map it over to my claims account, which is in 2013, and that allows me to get my user profile data copied over successfully. You can see there. Now, one of the other ones, and maybe even more so, would be having the permissions set properly. So in this particular instance, I'm migrating and I'm connecting to my source using a different account. And you can see that when I did run the migration under this account, the MySite copy was actually skipped. And it says MySite skipped by the transformation, but if we actually go to the source, so I'm under the policy for the web application in my source farm, and you can see that the test user account only has full read. Now, I guess that brings me to the permissions requirements of migrating my sites. So one of the big permission requirement is that the user that is connecting to the farm must have full control over the web application policy of the web application that's obviously hosting the MySites. So we need to switch it to full control in order to allow it to do the full MySite migration. And the next actual permission, and this is specific to 2007, is that under the shared services instance, the user has to get permissions to the user profile information in order to retrieve it. So these permissions are actually on top of the standard permissions required to do a site collection copy. So farm administrator and those other permissions that are quite the common permissions. So, so under the personalization services permissions, the users need to have, we'll modify these so we can see, but mainly it's the manage user profiles permission that this user would need to have in order to do the full migration and the user profile copy. So on the target, so we also should have under the user profile service application, you would want to have the users. So this would be myself connected to my target. You want to have that as full control to the user profile service application to allow us to add the user profile data to the target. So now that I've changed my full control, so I've changed this account which is generated from the SP test user. I've changed it now to full control. So if I were to just change the configuration of this now, have it go back in and retrieve the My Sites. Here we go. So we're going to My Site Personal. So now if I run this, then it should not skip it, but should go ahead and do the full copy. So as that's going, I did want to point out that, as I mentioned earlier, we need to have a farm connection or a web app connection in order to copy My Sites fully with the user profiles. That means that we're limited to using the local connection or the MetaLogix extensions web service. And again, that means that we can only fully copy My Sites from a 2007 or 2010 environments to a 2007, 2010, or 2013 environment. If you're trying to copy user profiles from a 2003 environment, for example, if you've connected to the database, you can see that your 2003 environment may have several user My Sites that you want to copy over, but unfortunately the only way to really copy those over would be by using a site collection copy as a standard site collection. So if you've created the My Sites on the target or had the users create the My Sites, you could do the copy site and paste all the site content into the newly created My Sites on the target so that the users would still get their data over, but they would have to reset their user profile information. So I just wanted to make sure and point that out, that to get the full My Site copy experience, it has to be at a farm level connection. And you can see that the copy is now going fully after I've set the user to get full control over the web application policy. That's mainly the main additional requirement for migrating My Sites. All right, that is about it that I had to go over. And it's kind of short, and I apologize that it took a little bit to get started. Does anyone have any questions now that we can get into our Q&A period? If anyone has any questions regarding the My Site copying, go ahead and shoot those questions into the Q&A section, and I can go ahead and answer those. Does anybody have any questions at all about the My Sites migration or the permissions requirements? Here we go. So so as a question about permissions for 2007 to 2010 migrations. Migrating, so for permissions migrating as a site collection administrator, is there anything additional from what I had shown? So basically, of course, each My Site is a site collection. So between 2007 and 2010, it's really not much different. So the account should be having the full control over the policy, and that gives it, in essence, the site collection administrator rights on all of the My Sites. So all of the site collections under the web application, it gets full control. So it's effectively a site collection administrator. Um, I'm hoping that answered the question. Um, okay, great. That answered that question. Is there any other questions? Okay, so here's a question. So if you stay within the same 2007 farm and need to move My Sites that were intermingled with team sites into different web app, are there any permission alterations that need to be made? What you'd want to do there is you'd need to be a site collection administrator on the team site that would be in the different web app. And you wouldn't do a My Site migration, I suspect, in this case, but you would just have do a paste all site content from the so within that 2007 environment, if they got a little mixed up, so which we've done actually here, we've set up some personal spaces, and so if this, for example, was sort of intermingled with what's supposed to be in a My Site, so as long as the account is a site collection administrator here, we could just do the copy site and find the actual personal site that we want to move the content to and just do sort of a paste all site content. And we could even do it incrementally so that nothing gets overwritten that might be duplicated between the two. So we'd want to stay at the duplicate or the incremental copy level. Hopefully did that answer the question? We say the comment, the My Sites in /sites don't also exist in /personal. Oh, okay, no. In this case, they don't. But for example, if you had a /site/GM, and then we could have a personal /GM, and I could still do a copy from the two different managed paths. And but that would not be considered necessarily a My Sites copy, just moving content between two different site collections. So standard site collection administrator rights would be just necessary there. Yeah, so so definitely some cleanup can be done by simply moving content around, and then once it's moved, then you could actually delete the mixed up one that shouldn't have been there, just so that prior to any migration you might just clean that up. Okay. Are there any other questions? Or anything that may not have been clear in any of the explanations that I've been making? Okay, well, if there are no further questions, we do have a few more minutes in the session if anyone does think of anything. Otherwise, you could always, just if you come up with something or have any issues with it, of course, open up a support case, and we'll help you out with anything that's specific that maybe I didn't cover in this session. So thank you, everyone. Oh, here's a question. Migrating. When migrating, I see admin mode. So when we do a copy, so we can copy my sites and paste my sites. So we have admin mode, which is your general way of creating site collection via central admin. So self-service mode is, if configured, allows users with less permissions than full farm level permissions to create site collections. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure if you may want to do that in a MySite copy, because having lesser permissions to generate or create site collections using self-service mode may prevent you from copying the user profiles. Generally, that option is usually just when you do a paste site collection and you're just, you want to, okay, well, that's not going to work here. So it's in some cases, I think it was defined for Office 365 environments as well, that users may not have full admin mode, but they have self-service mode that they can create their site collections. Okay. All right. So I think that looks like we have all the questions. So I think that will wrap it up. So again, thanks everyone for participating, and we'll see you for Content Matrix in a couple weeks from now when we do our next one. I'm not sure what it is, the topic is yet, but we'll see you then. All right, thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.